and that goes to anything, anybody applying to anything. Know who you're going to interview with. Is that you need to have questions at the end. They'll ask you for questions. Make sure you have something prepared.
Yeah, one of my favorite interview questions to ask somebody coming in is, have you looked at our website? If you say yes, I'm going to ask you, what's one thing you learned from our website? So that is a way, if you have not looked at it, you will be outed in that kind of question. So take the time, look at the website. If you say, you know what, I didn't realize that y'all were in so many different countries, that shows that you've done your research. So really maybe it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes. That's a very small chunk of time to be well prepared.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask the questions that you want answers to. An interview really is a chance. It goes both ways. I mentioned this earlier, but it's a two-way street. You get to learn about them, they get to learn about you. So you can ask questions on turnover rates. You know, what was the hiring rate to people leaving the company in the last year? You know, get a feel for their business. Ask them about their backlog. How much backlog projects or inventory do they have? So really, it's a chance for you to learn about them as well. So don't really hold back on any of the information that you want to know.
I'll give y'all one real quick, y'all. I write this down. Interview question to ask in an interview. In my opinion, this is the single best question to ask when interviewing. Ask at the end of the day, what is going to be the difference between the person you hire and the other candidates that miss out on this opportunity? If you ask that early enough in the interview process, you got to figure out what the right time is. But they will tell you how they're going to make their hiring decision. They will tell you exactly what they're looking for. And then the rest of your answers can be tailored to those issues or those characteristics they're looking for. So if they say, I'm really looking for somebody who's willing to learn, and you can ask questions about the training program and tell them that you're excited about the learning process. If they want somebody who's wanting to stay with the company long term, you can say, listen, I don't want to be a job hopper. I want to invest in a company. So if you ask that, it's a sales process. You're asking them how is the best way to sell them, and they will tell you. So that is, for me, that has been the single best interview question that you can ask.
I'm Sean. Okay, so all you've been hired, you're all in the workforce now. I'm sure now that you're in, it's kind of, there are things you can look back on and say, oh, I've done this, done a little bit more of this, done a little less of that, etc. But it's easy to look back and say, oh, if I was a freshman, I wish I had, got an internship right away. I had 4 years of experience and befriended these professors and became best friends with them. But that kind of advice doesn't really help any of us because we're all juniors and seniors. So if you could go back to only your junior or senior year at TCU, is there anything that you would do differently? And if so, what and why?
All about relationships, which we've all talked about. So I think that if you can reach out to 1 or 2 people that you come in contact with maybe in previous internships a week to get coffee, or to even just give them a call and just update on where they're at. I think that if I could go back to my junior and senior year, I would try to network so much more. It wasn't really on my list until after graduation, so I would jump on that now.
Have you heard the saying, it's not the grades you make, but the hands you shake? I mean, grades are important, but honestly, I mean, knowing people is so key. Networking is so important. So it's never too late to network. Like I'm headed to a Steer Fort Worth meeting later today. Just look for any opportunity that you have to go meet new people, because honestly, you never know who's going to open the door for you.
And it doesn't just have to be at an internship. It can be literally anywhere. So don't stress out too much if you don't have the internship experience. Where you never know where things will be.
I think a great place to start is right here. You have the alumni, you've got the young alumni, and then more importantly, you have faculty and staff. I think the faculty and staff are absolutely instrumental in plugging you into certain situations. For me, myself, I was good friends with one of the faculties in the engineering school, and a best friend that was going through the program with me, he had a job at Jacobs. I asked him, hey, is there a way to get an internship with you? He came back a week later and said, no, we're all pulled up, sorry. So I went and talked to the professor. He actually talked to an alumni that was working there, and he got me the interview. So that shows you how much faculty and staff can actually play a huge role. And it doesn't stop when you get hired. I'm still talking to the same faculty and staff about interns and possible interns and new hires, so it all just comes full circle.
But the reason I got the job that I have now is because a professor had a relationship with my boss, and I let her know that I was looking for a lighting job, not just an interior design job. So she said, oh, well, why don't you send this person an email? And I did, and that's where I work now. So, and then another TCU grad was just kind of 1 year ahead of me at that company. So it's important to let people know what you want, and even if it's just a casual conversation, talk to professors, like I really would like a job in this area, know anybody, that kind of thing, really helps.
I think it really plays into part on your apprenticeship. As you're young into your career, I guess, is to have a work ethic to do the best you can. Because at some point, whether it's nursing with a license or a business and you're CEO, president, CFO, or even engineering where you're a professional engineer, at some point your butt's going to be on the line. So if you don't have that work ethic beforehand and you take responsibility for everything you put your hands on, then you're not going to have it later in your career.
I think for me, if you were to think in the transition, I was a senior major, now I'm executive director of a small nonprofit, has been really having to be a self-starter and making sure, I'm on top of my tasks. When you're in school, a lot of what you do is pretty laid out for you. You have your set assignments, you have your due dates. Now that I'm in the workforce, a lot rests on my shoulders, and I need to make sure I manage my time, effectively, that I'm getting tasks done, that I'm prioritizing things. And a lot of that you do learn from students, but, that kind of thing amplifies the workforce.
I have learned to try to be mindful of how other people are perceiving me, I guess. I guess when I started as an intern, I asked questions a lot, which is good, and they expect you to ask questions, and they want you to not make mistakes, like we said before, admit when you don't know. But I realized at one point that I was really bugging the person right above me, and I needed to try to segment my time so that I would work through a task, collect my questions, ask my questions at one time. And so you learn in school how to segment your time because it's broken up that way anyway because of classes and your homework and all that. But try to take that to the workplace too, because it's really overwhelming. You go in, what am I going to do from 8:30 to 5:30 every day? So you really have to learn to break up your time so that it's effective for you. Yeah, it's really all about personal accountability. So, when you're in whether your senior year or grad school, you really do have your tasks set before you where you can cross things off. I was a big list maker, checking things off as I went, and as you gain more responsibilities, you really just have to find the best way to prioritize, going along with what everybody else is saying, prioritize, multitask, and just hold yourself accountable for what you said that you were going to do, because maybe in school people weren't relying on you so much, but in the career, the real world, people are going to be relying, expecting you to follow through on what you said. So I think just holding yourself accountable is kind of the biggest part of that transition.
Yeah, I would just say for my role is, it's very humbling after you graduate and like you get the job, you have the offer, like, oh, you're on the top of the world right now. And you start, you realize very quickly that you don't know nearly as much as your coworkers do. And take that opportunity, if you get the opportunity to travel with sales guys or meet with different areas of the business, use that time and ask what and why as much as you can. Just be a sponge. When you first start working, it's gonna feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. And just get as much water as you can because it'll really help you down the road. So just make the most of your time.
Yeah, the last thing is just build in time to invest in learning outside of school. Right now, you're to some degree forced to learn, and when you get out, no one's going to tell you you have to read this book by Monday. So carve out time. There's an Eric Hoffer quote that says, "In times of change, the learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." So if you carve out time to learn, that's going to be a great tool.